Mariners 3, Astros 2. We go to the third inning. Pleased to be joined by Astros general manager Jeff Luhnow on a glorious night. An 8-game winning streak. A lot of things to talk about tonight, Jeff. How do you feel, first of all, about this season at this point?
We've gotten off to the type of start we really wanted to get off to. Had a winning month of April. We're in first place, and guys are generally healthy, and we're getting contributions from a lot of different spots in the roster. So I'm pretty happy right now.
We're watching a man you claimed on waivers, and he has become a special guy in this rotation. What did you see in him when you claimed Colin McHugh?
Our scouts had followed him for a while, and we watched him in the New York Mets minor league system, and then when he got to the big leagues, and we knew that he's a guy that we thought would be successful in the big leagues with a different environment. And he went to Colorado in a trade, and then Colorado put him on waivers. We claimed him. And, he didn't show that well in spring training last year, but we sent him to Oklahoma City, had a couple good outings, and came up here, and the rest is history so far.
Dallas Keuchel is off to just a tremendous start, the best of any Astro through 5 games, and with these 2 guys and Scott Feldman returning, we figured that these 3 would be strong in the rotation, but then it became a matter of what you were going to do in those other 2 spots. And tell us how you think about those spots so far.
Well, at this point, Roberto's done a really nice job settling down the back end of the rotation for us, and we hope he can continue. He's a veteran. He's been around. He's done it for years, so it'll be nice to have him in that spot. And then that 5th spot, really, Sammy showed us last night with a good outing that he probably deserves another opportunity. Wojo had his shots up here, and we've got a couple guys, Oberholzer and Peacock, who are mending, and hopefully they'll get back to full strength. And it may be a revolving door all year. We're certainly going to keep trying to find the right fit, and we've got other guys in our system as well that might get a shot if these guys don't succeed.
It's obviously been a great start to the year for you, Jeff, and congratulations there.
Deep drive to right field near the line by Austin Jackson, but it's foul.
But with that record of 15-7, or make that 16-7, trying to rob one from you as we start this. Are you surprised at all at the success that's been had to this point, and does that change anything for the way you guys go about your work now?
Not necessarily. I mean, we always want to take the first couple months of the season and really evaluate the team and see if we think we're in it, and what kind of moves we might need to bolster the team, and we're going to continue to take that attitude. What I'm happy about is the fact that we have gotten contributions from just about everybody on the 25-man roster, and we still have some upside because the middle of our order, most of those guys that we've been relying on to produce the runs, still haven't produced the way we expect them to. And so if they do, suddenly we should be able to continue to score runs. Our pitching holds on, and hopefully May will look like we had a winning May last year. If we can do that again this year, we'll be in good shape going into June.
Well, as you talk about the lineup, one of the guys that really has produced, and there are some obvious players out there, but Jake Marisnick, who you picked up late last year, what a, I think for some, pleasant surprise to this point.
He always has the tools. We always figured that he had a chance to be a great player. Defensively, we knew that would be solid. We changed a few things about his approach at the plate last year with John Maley and continuing on this year, and he's had success with it. And I don't know if he's going to be this type of player all year, but he doesn't need to be. Defensively, he holds his own. We know that's going to be consistent, and if he can hit anywhere near what he's hit so far, we're going to have an incredibly productive center fielder for a long time to come.
Smith, the batter, after the walk to Jackson, and he takes the ball. There's so much to talk about on this club. Balbuena comes in, looks very good at third base, hits early home runs, and so with the moves that you made over the winter, the bullpen acquisitions, just working so well right now.
It's a good mix, and I think a lot of the credit goes to the coaching staff. Strami and CB do a tremendous job with the pitchers, and AJ sets the tone down in the clubhouse, and all of our coaches have done their part. And it really is gelling in a way that if you're down in the clubhouse, you get a sense that these guys are competing. I mean, we're down 3 runs early tonight. We haven't been down in a while, and what do? They battle back and get 2 runs in the bottom of the inning. So hopefully they can keep battling. They believe in themselves, and I think that's probably the biggest difference between this team and some of the others in the past few years.
And it has to be particularly pleasing to you to see different contributors and just that sense of team.
It is. I mean, I've been on winning teams before in organizations with winning teams, and it takes every person to contribute, to step up at the right time. And we lost Jed Lowry. We're going to be without him until probably after the All-Star break, and that's a big loss because he was offensively doing a great job and defensively. But we're hoping that Marwin and VR can pick up the slack, and Valbuena can continue to produce, and we won't miss him quite as much.
There's a strike, 3-1.
Obviously, you have to produce on the field at the major league level. But how much, when you're putting a roster together, does the makeup side of the player come into play?
It's important, but the reality is it's hard to figure it out beforehand because you don't know how it's all going to gel together until it's actually happening. So it's easy to recognize it when it's there. It's easy to recognize it when it's not there. But the hardest thing to do during the offseason is to say, okay, well, Evan Gattis and these guys, Luke Gregerson and Neshek and Rasmus, they're all going to blend together with our new coaching staff, and we're going to have great chemistry. It sort of happened organically, and I got to give AJ a lot of credit. He sets the tone from the beginning of spring training, and I think guys feel comfortable talking to him, expressing their concerns. They all know where they stand, and it's working so far.
Runner takes off on 3-2. Ground ball. McHugh took a look at second, threw to first for the out number 1.
I think he was going to take off the umpire's head if he threw it over there. So.
Kind of a play that we actually saw go against, and I think it was the San Diego Padres. It could have been actually up in Oakland, where the A's tried to get an out. I think it was Brett Lawrie trying to get an out at second base on one of those. If you don't get it, you can still get an out at first, but the ball was dropped. And so I wondered if Colin might fire to second one way or the other there. Chose to get the sure thing.
Now facing Cano, who flied to left. The way AJ has managed the bullpen has really been fascinating, and he seems to have a tremendous feel for how to use his relief pitchers.
He does, and he's familiar with some of these guys because he's seen them before. A lot of them came from the San Diego organization, but also we are carrying an extra reliever right now, and that gives him a little more flexibility. We've got 3 lefties in the pen right now. We've got righties that give you different looks, but he's been able to match them up and look at who's coming up in the order and figure out what's the best way to try and get them out. And that's a great way to win ball games.
We saw it last night. Kevin Chapman had just arrived. He got important outs in that game. And with this predominantly left-hand hitting lineup here for the Mariners, that was a great fit for AJ.
It was, and that's one of the reasons that Kevin is here. We called down to AAA, and Tony DeFrancesco said that Kevin was ready. He could help us, and knowing how many good left-handed hitters this Mariners organization had, that was the right move for us.
Line into center field. Jackson coming to third. Stop sign there. A throw from Marisnik comes in. And it's first and third now with 1 out on the single by Cano.
There's an intriguing play right there because Marwin Gonzalez at first base was a little bit late getting into the cutoff position, and yet Jake Marisnik did exactly what he was supposed to do. No excuses about somebody else not being in position, and just very well performed here by Jake Marisnik as we get a chance to watch it. Look at him come at the ball and see there's no cutoff man visible at the moment, but he still gets the throw down right through the infield, and therefore for Robinson Cano, the look is I can't go to second base because the throw's in position. Just a lot of good stuff taking place with these guys.
We've seen that consistently, Jeff, throughout the early portion of the season with outfielders' throws. This team seems to have really tightened things down fundamentally.
Gary Pettis deserves a lot of credit. He won 5 Gold Gloves out there, and I think we're seeing the effect of some of that. He really cares a lot. We all care a lot about outfield defense, but he's been able to share some of his experiences, and he's also, quite frankly, he's got 3 center fielders to work with out there, and that helps a little bit too. All 3 of these guys can cover ground. They've all got good arms to make the throws, and they've all got enough experience to know what to do.
Jeff, bottom line obviously is the big league club winning. Fans want it, they need it, and it's really waking up the city right now. But at the same time, there's an interest in some of the players at the minor league level. Mark Appel, Carlos Correa, probably at the top of those lists for people. Tell us about those guys and what they're doing.
We're in a good position because we're playing well in the major leagues, and we've got a lot of players that are becoming very close to being ready. And in addition to the 2 that you just mentioned, I'd add Preston Tucker on that list, left-handed hitting power guy who's leading all the minor leagues in home runs and RBI. And it's nice to have those guys, and it's nice to not necessarily need them right now. If one thing history has shown us in the last few years, a lot of the top prospects come up, they don't succeed right out of the gate. So you need to be able to bring them up and allow them a chance to fail a little bit and be a little bit patient. So we'll be able to do that. Carlos is dominating AA. The next natural move is probably to move him to AAA. We'll be talking about that in the coming weeks. But Mark Appel had a couple really good starts to begin the year. Went to Midland, had a rough outing last time, but the stuff is there. we're going to let him continue to have starts in Double-A for the time being. But it's nice to have those guys. Both of them could be in the big leagues this year, probably will be in the big leagues next year. And it's nice to know we have that kind of depth in our organization.
We saw it in spring training, and they are stacked up there. And tough injury to Colin Moran, also with a fractured jaw. What do you hear on him?
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those things going to keep him out at probably at least 4 weeks. He was going into second base, and the ball came in from the outfield and hit him in the jaw, and we didn't know what was going on right away. But he was feeling nauseous and dizzy, and took the X-ray and found out it was a non-displaced fracture. But it's frustrating for him. He was just starting to get hot, and that Corpus Christi team is really exciting with Colin Moran at third base, Carlos at short, and Kemp at second, Gregor at first. Really, really fun team to watch.
That's shallow in right field. Altuve looks out to Springer. Springer coming in, and he covers it with a shift, having taken Altuve over to the shortstop side of second. The minor league players of the month just announced. Take a look at the guy you mentioned, Tucker, also Correa, Brett Phillips, player of the year in the minor leagues last year, having a very good start. Joe Musgrove doing well at Quad Cities too.
He is. He's a guy we got in a trade a few years ago, and we really believe that he's got stuff to pitch up here in the big leagues. He's probably going to have to move up a level because he's dominating Quad Cities right now, and it's nice to have depth throughout the organization. Those are some pretty good names right there.
Now it's Kyle Seager coming up, 2 outs. Seager grounded out earlier. Meaningful games have been played here in April, and I know you would love to see meaningful games be played in September this year, Jeff.
Yeah, that's the goal. We want to be relevant in August and September with a chance to play in October. And this division's tough. No doubt about it. Even though we're off to a great start and some of the other teams are struggling, it's going to be a dogfight the whole summer.
Near the left field line for Colby Rasmus. There for the catch.